The following podcast contains opinion and commentary protected by the First Amendment and fair use. It may also contain adult themes, adult concepts, and adult language not suitable for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the city by the bay, where the fog rolls in at night, Laura Owen spun a tale that turned day to bitter fight. Met on an app called The League, oh, the sparks, they seemed to fly. But love turned to a courtroom stage where truth began to cry. She claimed he broke her heart, oh, with a cruel and violent hand. Screamed of bruises, tears, and terror in a story oh so grand. But the texts and emails whisper a different tale they tell of a woman weaving fictions in a self-made private hell. Oh, the restraining order waltz, spinning lies in a legal dance. Laura's pen writes a medium article of faults, taking truth on a wild romance. Michael stands in the shadows, call with the weight of her decree. In this Broadway of betrayal, who will set the truth free? January 8th, a street-side scene where tempers flared and roared. Laura's voice a siren scream as obscenities were poured. Michael called the law that night to report her wild display, but Laura flipped the script by morn with a filing the next day. A temporary order granted, buttons the poodle's name in tow. Her family denied protection, but the drama stole the show. Renewed in 2020, set to linger till this year. A shadow on his name and life, a weapon forged in fear. Oh, the restraining order waltz, spinning lies in a legal dance. Laura's pen writes a tale of fault, taking truth on a wild romance. Michael stands in the shadows, call with the weight of her decree. In this Broadway of betrayal, who will set the truth free? She spoke of pain in a TEDx glow, a stranger's note to save her soul. But the timeline cracks, the stories fold. Her claim's a script that's growing old. From Iceland's chill to a courtroom's glare, her words don't match the truth laid bare. A forensic probe, her phone's the key, unraveling lies for all to see. The judge's gavel waits and wings as justice takes its bow. The evidence is piling high, the question's only how. Will Laura's waltz keep spinning on with stories that deceive? Or will the curtain fall at last for those who still believe? Oh, the restraining order waltz, spinning lies in a legal dance. Laura's pen writes a tale of faults, taking truth on a wild romance. Michael stands in the shadows, call The echoes of this drama linger in this Broadway state.
Welcome everyone back to my channel and your favorite cubbyhole on the internet. This is the hotbed of Laura Owen's activity, in my opinion. Welcome everyone. We are slowly but steadily growing. Thank you, new subscribers to this channel, and all of you who like to participate in the comments. It's great fun. Keep it up. We're on a roll. So let's not stifle progress. We've got a lot to cover in today's video. This is the response from Mike Marraccini, or more accurately, his counsel, the amazing tilted lawyer Omar Serrato, who has written this filing as he did the previous filing. That was to disqualify Laura's counsel, David S. Gingras. So this video, we will get through, hopefully all of this, including most of the exhibits. We've got to move kind of quick, and we're going to try and make it a little bit fun this time. I think I have the technology sorted out now. We shall see. I was a little disappointed I had done some magic in the last one. That didn't come through because we're still sorting out audio problems, but so it goes. At least the quality is there, if not all the special effects. So it's something, it's better than nothing. But let's try this. Let's see if we can have a little bit more expansive experience outside of the excellent AI-generated music that we work so hard on. Or actually, AI worked a little bit harder than I did because, well, when it comes to this sort of thing, I'm slightly lazy, just a little bit. We give it ideas. We give it lots of ideas. We have a conversation with AI to get the results we want. But it is not all of my words. It's just some of my words and some of AI suggestions, and we compromise. That's the secret to my my excellent music videos. Well, they're not videos. I don't put a lot of video on them because, well, that's just more work. We're not there yet. That's going to be a fund as you go sort of activity, and maybe sometime we'll get there. At the rate we're going, maybe we'll be there sometime next year. We'll see. Who knows? In some of the comments, I had someone request, well, can you do an FAQ? And, well, to be quite honest, I don't think I'm that interesting where I need to do a whole show on myself, quite honestly. And also, to be quite honest, I don't want to just hand the whole pie of information about myself over to my future doxers. I want them to earn every crumb by having to give me hours, probably dozens, if not hundreds of hours by now, of watch hours. I don't want to just hand them over all of my stuff on a silver platter. It's going to happen. It's the internet. It's the Wild West of the internet. And I just don't want to indulge them prematurely. I want to make them work for it. My future doxers are going to have to work for it. So that's why I'm not going to do an FAQ and just indulge everyone's intrigue of who I am in the real world and my personal life. Because we're not here for me. We are here for Laura Owens. We are covering all of this insanity started by this insane woman, really, more than a decade ago. But now finally, the chickens are coming home to roost, and we are finally getting to see some results with justice and the criminal system, and it's coming home to park in Laura's lap. And not just Laura's lap, but that of the family. Oh, there's so much. Okay, this is a very long document. It's got lots of stuff. It's very thick. I want to read the inserts as we go because it gives it context. I'm going to try and insert the exhibits as we go, either as secondary overlays or something, so that there's the visual corresponding to some of all of the filing, just to try and keep it a little live and fresh. Maybe there will be some music in here. I don't know. Oh, golly, if I'm going to do music, I better have it ready to be queued up. Hold, please. Alrighty, we're a little more ready to go now. The things I forget about until I hit the record button, but we might need it. I don't know where this is going to go. I heard a little bit of a preview with the amazing Megan Fox. I don't want to crack all the jokes about super tips and super tits yet. It seems premature for me to be able to use those kinds of jokes, but Megan and Sister Stephanie did their great reading through this. It was a little bit brief because they had to keep things moving. And before I go any further on thinking about watching Megan and Sister Stephanie, or Sister Fox, I would like to share my sympathies to the Fox family, as well as all of my other content creators who, in hearing over the last 24 hours or so, that Megan lost her mother-in-law. I believe it was Mr. Fox's mother. And so our deep sympathies and condolences to the Fox family and to their time of loss and grief. And it sounds like she was an amazing woman. And when you have those kinds of people in your lives as a mother and grandmother and so on, it's a deep loss. It was in my family when some of those things have happened. And we just send them our love and our best wishes. All right. I think now we're ready to get into this filing. This thing is just so much. We've got to move fast. And I'm going to edit some of the preamble. We don't need the cover page. So let's just get right into it. This is the preliminary statement regarding the exhibits. Several of the exhibits referenced herein are taken from a comprehensive digital forensics examination of Marraccini's laptop conducted on May 4, 2024 by John Berryhill of Berryhill Computer Forensics, Inc., the Forensics Report. The Forensics Report, 2,489-page report, and has therefore not been attached to this brief. Many of the exhibits in this filing consist of summaries, excerpts, or analyses drawn directly from the Forensics Report. Accordingly, each exhibit has been assigned its own exhibit letter, where applicable, and cites the corresponding page numbers from the Forensics Report. Let's see. Quick check of the footnote. Is it interesting? Not really. It's about date and times. There are other footnotes. We'll get to those when we get to them. The procedural history. Petitioner Laura Owens has a documented history of fabricating allegations of pregnancy, domestic violence, sexual assault, lying under oath, and presenting false evidence to the court. And footnote 2. The case number listed there for Maricopa County, Arizona. The petition found baseless and fraudulent, referred for prosecution, leading to petitioner's indictment on 7 felonies, including fraud, perjury, and forgery. And that's just extraordinary that these things are happening. As Sister Stephanie said, it's just unusual that these things do happen, that someone's being charged for forgery, or that things are being charged for perjury, is, essentially as sort of a cornerstone. It's not very often, and I think that was something that Dingus the Douche Canoe, we'll save it. We'll save the button. I think it was something Douche Canoe was hoping for, to get her off, but Maricopa County said, no you don't. We are going after you for every jot and tittle. And I love that for her. She is currently facing 7 felony charges related to serial pregnancy fraud and perjury in the Superior Court of Maricopa County in Arizona, including allegedly injecting herself with HCG so that she would test positive on pregnancy tests. Okay, now we got those 2 footnotes. Oh, yes, we talked about the petition. So HCG is the hormone, of course, by pregnancy. We know all about that. We did a special episode on HCG and even a source where one could purchase it. We found a business in Maricopa County, but it seems that Laura was going about it a different way, seemingly through sort of weight loss fad diets and sort of those weight loss clinics where they do HCG weight loss, ostensibly. Allegedly, maybe is a better word. Her latest filing in California seeking a permanent domestic violence restraining order against respondent Michael Marraccini is just the latest in a series of escalating behaviors designed to abuse court processes as a means of silencing her victims to prevent them from combating her fictitious victim narrative. Owens and Marraccini met in March of 2016 and engaged in an on-again, off-again romantic relationship that ended in August of 2017. During the relationship, Owens crafted a series of escalating narratives to emotionally manipulate Marraccini. This included fabricating pregnancies, miscarriages, abortions, and fraudulently creating documents to support an ovarian cancer diagnosis. Owens used these traumatic fictions to coerce Marraccini into continuing to date her, using 2 fake letters from an OBGYN to encourage Marraccini to change his attitude and be more supportive of her. Exhibit C. And we have the excerpt of that little conversation.
In addition, you can let them know that your diagnosis and treatment has been complicated by your pregnancy, which on its own has been extremely difficult and unusual. I would strongly encourage him to change his attitude and support you at this time. I sincerely hope things get better. All the best, Laura Michelle Owens.
And a false identity co-opted. John Chung Kai Chan, medical doctor. That medical doctor does indeed exist. It has been researched, but, said Dr. Chan did not write this note. No doctor would. Doctors do not engage in the personal lives of their patients. That's just medical fact. Okay? Continuing on. Marraccini called the police on Owens on January 7, 2018. Owens had confronted Marraccini and his sister in public, yelling and screaming obscenities at him. 2 days later, on January 9, 2018, Owens obtained her retaliatory domestic violence restraining order in the Superior Court of California, County of San Francisco. The allegations in the DVRO were shocking, with Owens claiming extreme abuse at the hands of Marraccini, including using photographs from when she fell off of a horse to allege abuse, and that it arose to such a degree she had to seek inpatient mental health treatment, an allegation she confusingly refutes in her previous filings.
I just met my family at the hospital.
Good.
I love that picture of us that I put up, but I'll be looking at it as motivation while I'm here, okay? But I'm on a hold here now that I admitted my problem. They said probably 24 hours, and then I can do intensive outpatient if my psychiatrist approves it.
On January 22, 2018, Marraccini timely filed his DV-120 response and denied all allegations made by Owens and noted her history of manipulative conduct, including her fabricated pregnancies and conflicting medical claims. Owens and Marraccini both submitted supplemental declarations and third-party witness statements. A hearing originally scheduled for January 26 of 2018 was continued for further evidence, depositions, and declarations. Ultimately, on or about July 10, 2018, exhausted by the false narratives, Marraccini entered into a stipulated agreement resulting in the issuance of a 2-year CLETS reported restraining order after hearing, under family code, etc., without any admissions of wrongdoing by Marraccini. That order was set to expire on July 10, 2020. Notably, there was never any finding that Marraccini ever committed an act of domestic violence. On the date the order was set to expire, July 10, 2020, Owens filed a request to renew the DVRO, alleging continued fear and allegations of various violations by Marraccini, which he affirmatively denies. A hearing was held on September 11, 2020, before the Honorable Sharon Reardon. Despite Marraccini's objections, and without a finding of new abuse, the court granted a 5-year renewal under Family Code, extending the DVRO to July 10, 2025. Between 2022 and 24, Owens used this DVRO as a means of advancing a fabricated narrative that she was a domestic violence survivor. She made multiple statements, including a January 2022 TEDx talk, with the attached YouTube link. At some point, not today, not part of this, we may look at that and reference that in accordance to this case. And she also had a June 2023 Chicken Soup for the Soul essay, all of which accused Marraccini of engaging in abuse. Footnote 4. Chicken Soup for the Soul, after determining Owens' claims in her entry entitled "The Life-Saving Power of Kindness to Strangers Lacked Credibility," removed the entry from their online publication. Sadly, it apparently still appears in the printed form that was published at that time in Chicken Soup for the Soul. So if you want a rare edition that happens to have Laura Owens in physical print, I am told that it is still in that book for that time period. Meanwhile, Owens continued to use her pattern of falsifying pregnancies with 2 new victims in the Superior Court of Maricopa County. In 2021 to 22, she sued an Arizona man named Greg Gillespie in Maricopa County for abortion coercion. After she claimed he impregnated her with twins, and then later claimed to have aborted them at his direction. When he refused to continue dating her, Laura obtained a protective order, Arizona DVRO against him, which she recently renewed under those filings. From 2023 to 24, Owens was the subject of a public legal controversy involving another false twin pregnancy allegation against ABC's former The Bachelor lead, Clayton Echard, under that case number. When Mr. Echard refused to continue to date her, Owens obtained a protective order against him as well. The paternity litigation with Mr. Echard went to trial on June 10, 2024, which we have covered, at which time Owens' prior victims, including Mr. Marraccini, were lawfully subpoenaed to testify. Oh, footnote 5. Let's go look at footnote 5. Lawful subpoena ordered to Mike Marraccini, ordering his appearance at the June 10, 2024 trial of Owens v. Echard, which we looked at yesterday, or previously, depending on when you're viewing things, in the filing for disqualifying Dingus the Douche Canoe. In June of 2024, the Maricopa County Superior Court found Owens was never pregnant by Mr. Echard and granted his request for a finding of non-paternity. The court found Owens had acted unreasonably in the litigation, initiated litigation without basis or merit, provided false testimony, and that Owens' petition was fraudulent and made to incite communication, a relationship, or both with Mr. Echard. Moreover, the court found that Owens had a pattern of similar, if not identical, behavior. Owens was ordered to pay over $149,000 to Mr. Echard and referred to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office for review. On May 6, 2025, Owens was indicted by a Maricopa County grand jury on 7 felony counts, including fraudulent schemes and artifices, perjury, forgery, and evidence tampering related to the action with Mr. Echard. On July 10, 2025, Owens submitted a second request to renew her restraining order against Marraccini, indicating her intent to seek a permanent order of protection against him, largely due to his attendance at the Echard trial pursuant to a lawful subpoena. Trial is scheduled for October 21 and 22 of 2025 in San Francisco Superior Court. Introduction. Owens has a well-documented history of making false pregnancy allegations, subsequently alleging domestic violence, and otherwise abusing court processes when her victims do not wish to continue the relationship. Given this pattern of manipulating the court process to re-traumatize her victims, Marraccini urges this court to deny the requested renewal. Under California Family Code, a domestic violence restraining order should be renewed only if the evidence shows the protected party harbors a genuine and reasonable fear of future abuse. Owens' own conduct, as evidenced by her current 7 felony charges in Arizona, demonstrates that any claimed fear on her part is neither genuine nor reasonable, but instead part of an ongoing strategy of deceit and manipulation. The factual background: false pregnancy and miscarriage claims. Early on in their relationship, Owens began her pattern of faking pregnancies to manipulate Marraccini. Just 3 months after meeting, in June of 2016, Owens informed Marraccini that she was pregnant with his child, eventually sending a photo of a positive pregnancy test to support this false narrative. Within weeks, she insisted she was pregnant with his twins. No medical evidence has ever been produced to corroborate that Owens was ever pregnant, that she was pregnant with twins, or that she had to undergo the 3 surgical and 3 medical abortions, as she would later allege. On July 14, 2016, a month after claiming she was pregnant, Owens told Marraccini she thought she was having a miscarriage, which she later retracted. 1 day later, on July 15, 2016, Owens again indicated she was miscarrying and that she was bleeding and on her way to the hospital.
I don't want to actually cancel my appointment. I'm really having a rough night. I am bleeding and feeling horrible. I'm deciding if I need to go to the hospital, that I need to speak with you. I'm extremely upset. I know you are too, and I apologize for my part.
This claimed medical emergency is easily debunked with her social media posts that same day, where she is depicted in a white dress, drinking alcohol, and partying. Oh, let's really zoom in on this, shall we? Can we make this big and biggin? There she is, as grainy as an image as it is. There's Laura in a white dress holding what looks like maybe champagne or something. It looks light colored. Drinking while she's allegedly pregnant with twins. Naughty, naughty. That means she's not pregnant, folks. That was a photo taken in July 15 of 2016, as stated. And the caption for this Facebook post, which it appears to be, celebrating the great Ronn Owens tonight at John's Grill. 40 years asking San Francisco politicians the tough questions over the 50,000-watt Clear Channel KGO radio. Reducto! Footnote 7. Between July 23 and October 14, 2016, Owens claims to have had 3 surgical and 3 medical abortions, all in the midst of being diagnosed with ovarian cancer and receiving an oophorectomy to remove her cancerous ovary. You know, this reminds me of an old movie, and I love old movies, so I'm going to insert something. Laura Owens likes to claim piles upon piles of assorted medical problems all at the same time. Of course, therefore, emotional manipulation. But it just reminds me of this one scene in the classic old movie with Judy Garland. Meet me in St. Louis. Meet me in St. Louis, Louis. Meet me at the fair. I'm told it's fair season. So that just kind of popped into my head. But there's this scene with the young girl, the young daughter in it, where she has some dolls. And she talks about her dolls to, I think it's the Iceman, as I recall. And she talks about burying one of her dolls. And the doll allegedly had 3 or 4 fatal diseases. And he says, and it only takes one.
Oh, Margaretta, never seen her look so pale.
The sun ought to do her some good.
I expect she won't live through the night. She has 4 fatal diseases.
And it only takes one.
It reminds me of Laura Owens. Laura Owens has all these medical problems that, and it only takes one. After going to the hospital, Owens informed Marraccini the pregnancy was still viable and called him to tell him they were having twins. On July 22, 2016, Owens started claiming that the twin pregnancy was no longer viable and that she would take abortion pills. Days later, she claimed that the abortion pills did not work and that she still had to undergo a surgical abortion. Owens would allege a series of complications with the procedure, including that she was bleeding a lot and that she needed not 1, but 3 surgical abortions to terminate the alleged twin pregnancy. She would be the most unlucky woman on the planet to have that many malpractice suits just waiting to be plucked to refill the Owens family financial coffers. Of course, none of it's true because none of it happened. Let's read the insert here.
Looks like we have to do the pills. I'm taking it again so I don't have to have suction done. There's a small amount of tissue left, and I can do this or suction. I'll have the doctor write something after I'm done to say I'm no longer pregnant. Anything else you want to say before I get there? I'm feeling absolutely horrible. I'm cramping nonstop, which I'm not used to, and it kept me up all night. Have a fever and am bleeding a lot. I had a really short appointment with the doctor, but glad I did it. I'm going to go ahead and just have an aspiration Wednesday. That was the doctor's recommendation, and I don't want to delay it longer. She thinks there's a good chance I have Asherman's, and I looked it up, and it makes some sense. The ultrasound won't confirm that, though, but I will get a confirmation that it's done on Wednesday. Does that sound good to you? I want to have a really positive attitude, since I know I haven't the whole time.
It's like she's trying to negotiate some kind of date. It's just so weird. Okay, we talked about how perverted Laura is. We did that when we covered her renewal filing, which had all of the sexy talk about all of the abuse that was happening allegedly during all of what seemed like mostly sexy time. It was gross. If you really want to have a just cringy moment, go back and check that video. I covered it, 4 or 5 ago? I've lost count already. We had to use lots of jazz to get through it. It was actually ended up being rather comical because it was the same thing. Just like all of her allegations of abuse and all of her pregnancy fraud schemes and narratives, it's the same stories over and over and over again. She's got very little creativity, and she just keeps trying to resell the same stories. No wonder she's a failed podcaster, in my opinion. To support her escalating faux pregnancy emergencies, Owens manufactured various medical records. After the feigned multi-abortion ruse, that's a great word. That's just sort of a great phrase. Owens doctored letters from an OBGYN whom Owens claimed in her deposition for the Eckerd paternity case was a cancer specialist, to state she had ovarian cancer and had an oophorectomy.
That would be an OBGYN, but I haven't established regular enough care with an OBGYN. But I was treated for the PCOS in San Francisco by a provider.
Who was the provider in San Francisco?
I was treated by Dr. Chan. He's a gynecologist it's like a specialist one for...
Fertility.
No, he's not. He's for cancer.
Okay. These fabricated letters perpetuated the emotional manipulation of Marraccini, with the doctors telling Marraccini that Owens had real ovarian cancer, and the doctors strongly encouraged him to change his attitude and support Owens.
Thank you for your email. I am so sorry you are going through such a rough time right now, and will do my best to help you through it. I read the messages you sent me from your boyfriend and answer his questions. Stage 1A is without a doubt considered to be true cancer, and something that we take very seriously. You are correct, Laura, that this cancer is found only in one ovary. He is incorrect in his saying that this means you just might have malignant cancer cells. Please tell him that yes, I have diagnosed you with real ovarian cancer, not something that just may be there. I am not sure what is meant by the message you forwarded that says I would only be diagnosing it if it were something other than stage 1A. That is a very real stage, and simply means it has not spread beyond your right ovary. I recommend looking at the American Cancer Society's website page for more information. In addition, you can let him know that your diagnosis and treatment has been complicated by your pregnancy, which on its own has been extremely difficult and unusual. I would strongly encourage him to change his attitude and support you at this time. I sincerely hope things get better.
All the best! Hi, Miss Owens. Yesterday, you received ovary removal surgery, an oophorectomy of your right ovary, as well as a surgical abortion. Due to your recent medical history, I will wait to confirm pregnancy termination until blood work and a follow-up ultrasound are completed, although there were no complications during the procedure. As you explained to me, you have already experienced emotional side effects, such as extreme fatigue, depression, and mood swings. These are common, and I would ask your boyfriend to support you during recovery. All the best! Laura Michelle Owens, MD.
Notably, as Owens insisted she was suffering all of these grave conditions, a high-risk twin pregnancy, multiple miscarriages, repeated abortions, and cancer, she continued to engage in strenuous activities. For example, during this very period, she was competing in equestrian jumping events. In December of 2016, under mounting scrutiny, Owens finally admitted to Marraccini and her own father, Ronn Owens, that she had never been pregnant, that everything was fabricated, and that she would seek psychological care. Marraccini continued to date Owens after her confession in hopes she would seek the professional help she admitted needing and that her family would support her efforts. Ultimately, Owens' manipulative habits only continued and escalated, with Marraccini having to call the police on January 7, 2018. Little did Marraccini know, this would initiate Owens filing the underlying DVRO, which contained a false reality in which Marraccini was the abuser, despite an utter lack of verifiable evidence. These lies were not innocent mistakes or misunderstandings. They were deliberate, sustained fabrications about the creation and loss of human life designed to manipulate Marraccini into continuing to date her. This was the pattern of Owens' relationship with Marraccini and, later, her relationships with the two victims in Arizona. In addition to this manipulative conduct, Owens has demonstrated a consistent pattern of retaliatory legal action. When a romantic partner initiates legal proceedings against her, she responds by filing legal actions against them. This pattern is evident in 3 separate cases. After Marraccini contacted law enforcement regarding Owens' behavior, she filed for a temporary restraining order against him 2 days later. When Greg Gillespie, Arizona victim, filed an order of protection against Owens, she entirely evaded service and filed her own OOP against him 3 months later. Similarly, after Clayton Eckerd obtained an injunction against harassment, Owens filed an order of protection against him 10 days later. When Marraccini ended their relationship, Owens continued this pattern by seeking a domestic violence restraining order based on false and completely unsupported allegations. She now seeks to make that order permanent. Meanwhile, Owens currently faces multiple felony charges in Maricopa County, including perjury, extortion, and conspiracy, stemming from precisely the type of falsehoods and deceptive behavior Marraccini experienced firsthand years ago. B. Inconsistent conduct. Owens cannot satisfy her burden to demonstrate a reasonable apprehension of future abuse. Her behavior has demonstrated that her claimed fear is neither genuine nor reasonable. Owens' conduct toward Marraccini has been wholly inconsistent with that of an individual who genuinely fears for their safety. The evidence demonstrates that her pursuit of a permanent DVRO stems not from any legitimate safety concern, but from a retaliatory intent related to Marraccini's lawful compliance with a subpoena in the Arizona proceeding. Footnote 10. Orders of protection requested by Laura Owens against Greg Gillespie and Clayton Eckerd. Affection and pursuit after alleged abuse. Owens portrays Marraccini as violent, yet her communications reveal a consistent pattern. Whenever he distanced himself or took actions she perceived as rejection, she would respond with sudden declarations of affection or fabricate a medical crisis to draw him back in. For example, Owens asserts that by early July 2016, Marraccini was already acting abusively toward her. But on July 6, 2016, she texted him,
"I love you and trust you."
The iMessage reads as follows.
"I'm really sorry for the late response. Been with the horses and services scattered here. I also really appreciate you breaking that down for me. The moving situation makes a lot of sense. I also definitely wouldn't be opposed to moving, especially to San Diego, at some point in the future if it was the right situation. Wanting to settle down isn't so much to do with my age as much as it is the fact that I personally have these views about wanting to just be with one person. This situation really shocked me and made me realize I need to be upfront with what I want because I haven't been in relationships in the past because I was afraid of scaring the other person off. However, this has certainly added more depth to our relationship early on, and I feel like the responsible thing for both of us to do from it is to either maturely move forward or end it, and it seems like we are on the same page there. It really hurt me to read the last paragraph of your text because I feel horrible that I had made you feel that way. I really do only want to bring you up and make you feel good about yourself. And I'm really sorry I've been moody and insecure. You're exactly who I want to be with, and I think once we are on the same page about feelings, I will be able to take a breath and trust it. I guess I've just been questioning you and your feelings about the future because you aren't where I'm at now, and I'm nervous you won't get there, or that you won't integrate me into your life with your family and friends. Trust me, I want nothing more than to relax and enjoy our relationship. The stress from the pregnancy is really straining it and making me have these mood swings that I hate myself for, and I'm sorry for that. I also really do hate to end the pregnancy when we both see a future together, and this will probably be a super kid we are missing out on. But I guess there's time for that in the future. If I think about it logically, I want to establish a solid relationship with you and make memories without kids involved because they aren't there yet. I just feel bad, but I don't want to ever make you feel bad, so I won't question you. I love you, and I trust you. Hugs and kisses, Laura Owens.
Yuck. She's a love bomber on top of being a psychopath. She's sort of everything in a ball of one. She's the Pandora's box of medical tragedy, psychosis, and all kinds of things. Oh my God. Will we ever get her fully untangled? I'm not really sure. Hi, alrighty, continuing on because, oh my gosh, there's still more. There's still more. Similarly, Owens states she feels secure and loved by Marraccini in late 2016.
As I was driving down here and listening to your playlist, which I loved, and it kept me awake, I was just thinking about how tremendously lucky I am to have you as my boyfriend. You just have all these great qualities that make me smile. For me, the timing of these feelings is really strange because I feel like I'm so out of control with what happens to my dad. Normally, I would be really stressed out, but I have changed my outlook, and you have been a huge part of that, which in turn has helped me cope with what's going on with him and be a better daughter. I feel secure and loved by you, and it's one of the best feelings I've ever experienced in my life. Next to Tony Robbins. Just kidding. You hold such a special place in my heart, and I would do anything to make your life easier or make a random day better for you. Thank you so much for all you to make me a better person and for your love and support and getting me to simultaneously so enjoy living in the moment with you while also being so excited for our future. Feels great. Switches and smooches, Laura Owens, all the best!
After a 2017 trip to Dubai, during which Owens now claims Marraccini was cruel, though no abuse actually occurred, she continued to initiate friendly, even flirtatious, exchanges with Marraccini.
I'm horny, baby. Love you.
And as late as mid-November,
I wish we could get dinner. Love you.
Where did you end up going?
Naked Fish. My dad forgot this place existed and wanted to go. You? I'm horny, baby.
Despite Owen's claims supporting her DVRO, her own message to Marraccini sent a year and 5 months into their relationship reveals a desire for a deeper connection. In it, she expresses appreciation for his honesty that he is not in love with her. This message undermines her portrayal of herself as a victim seeking distance or safety. Instead, it shows she was pushing for clarity and perhaps greater commitment, while Marraccini was not equally invested in the relationship.
I'm having a lot of trouble sleeping tonight. All I keep thinking about is how after a year and 5 months, you don't love me. And while I definitely appreciate the honesty, I need to have more self-respect than that. And I realize that's not good enough for the kind of relationship I want.
I understand, and I'm sorry I'm not on the same level as you.
That's it? Oh my God.
Victims of genuine domestic violence typically avoid contact with their abuser, refrain from pursuing intimacy, and do not encourage a deepened romantic relationship. Owens, however, repeatedly pressed Marraccini for commitment, urged him to become her boyfriend, and frequently professed love and trust, often immediately after the very incidents she now characterizes as abuse. Such conduct is fundamentally inconsistent with the behavior of someone living in fear or attempting to escape further harm, initiating contact despite the order. Contrary to Owen's portrayal of Marraccini before this court as brutally violent, a rapist, pathological liar, stalker, and the source of her severe psychological distress, Owens herself offered to speak with Marraccini directly by phone as recently as last year. This willingness to engage in communication with an individual she has characterized in such extreme terms starkly undermines the credibility of her claims. Owen's readiness to initiate dialogue highlights the inconsistency and absurdity of her allegations throughout this case.
One last thing. After talking with Laura about this, she said she has lots of questions for Mike. I told her my preference is to have her send me any specific questions, and I'll see if Mike wants to answer them. She also said she's willing to speak directly with him, but that may not be appropriate in light of the restraining order. On the other hand, if Mike has a strong preference in favor of directly speaking with Laura, maybe we can make that happen. I'm licensed in California and can probably do some sort of stipulation with Randy to modify the California order to allow this, just to be safe.
Footnote 11. Email from her attorney. Dingus the douche canoe.
The fucking douche canoe.
All right, we needed it then. Right? Yes, we did. Indicating after speaking with Laura Owens, she had lots of questions for Marraccini and that she was willing to speak with him directly, which would have been a violation of the current restraining order. The court must consider the significant contradictions between her stated fears and her actual behavior. California law expressly authorizes courts to weigh not only a witness's statements, but also their demeanor, conduct, and prior inconsistent remarks in evaluating their credibility. Here, Ms. Owens' actions consistently undermine her claims. Rather than showing genuine apprehension of Marraccini, her conduct demonstrated an ongoing desire to engage and provoke conflict. To renew a restraining order under California law, the petitioner must demonstrate that her fear of future abuse is not merely subjective, but objectively reasonable. A person who continues actively to initiate contact or seeks confrontation with a purported abuser cannot credibly claim to fear them. Ms. Owen's behavior, which includes pursuing communication, harassing, and even publicly confronting Mr. Marraccini, strongly indicates she harbors no genuine fear of him. Instead, it reveals a pattern of calculated provocation and manipulation. Owen's actions disqualify her from obtaining continued judicial protection. The pattern. Abortion coercion suit. In August of 2021, Owens had a brief encounter with Gregory Gillespie, a man in Scottsdale, Arizona. After Mr. Gillespie refused to continue a relationship with her, she claimed she was pregnant with his twins and fabricated a sonogram to continue the ruse. When that failed, she claimed she had to take abortion pills multiple times, as the first attempt failed and the second attempt only allegedly affected one fetus. When Mr. Gillespie was not interested in seeing her again, she initiated a civil action against him, alleging he had coerced her into getting an abortion. That action was later dismissed, and forensic analysis confirmed the ultrasound was faked, identifying the original source image that Owens had manipulated, but not before Owens could obtain a protective order against Mr. Gillespie, the Eckerd paternity scheme. In May of 2023, Owens had a one-night encounter with reality TV personality Clayton Eckerd, former star of ABC's The Bachelor, in which no sexual intercourse occurred. Owens subsequently claimed she was pregnant with Eckerd's child turned twins, an allegation that mirrors the false scenario Owens had fabricated with Gillespie and Marraccini. Owens even filed a paternity lawsuit in Arizona seeking custodial orders and child support from Eckerd, all while inundating him and the media with supposed proof of her pregnancy. Footnote 12, let's go look at that now. Laura Owen's email demonstrating her reaching out to various media outlets to start a public scandal regarding Clayton Eckerd based on her lies, which mirror the allegations in this case. And we have a screenshot of Laura Owen's email box. To Tips, Bonnie, Joshua, Tips, Clayton, Ksenia, another email to Davis, Joshua. There's a number of names in here. I think we know who some of these are. Cease and desist for Dave Neal. If there is an inconclusive result, also there's even Ravgen stuff in here. Clayton Eckerd story. Thank you so much, Ksenia. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Virtual hearing. Clayton, I'm hoping the test results come back right the first time, but if they're inconclusive. Petition. My name is Laura Owens. I was at a hearing last week, but many events have happened since Some of this is hard to read because it's a little bit blurry, but that's all right. Let's move along. We've seen some of this before, back when the case was hot and heavy about a year ago. Let's continue. When Mr. Eckerd contested the validity of her claims, Owens moved to withdraw the suit, claiming she had miscarried. The court denied her request, and Owens eventually signed a HIPAA release, allowing Eckerd to obtain records that showed she had never sought medical care, never received an ultrasound as she claimed, and that she had doctored medical records as part of her pregnancy fraud. The matter was eventually set for trial, and both Gillespie and Marraccini, Owens' prior victims of pregnancy fraud, were lawfully subpoenaed to testify as to their personal knowledge of Owens' allegations. Owens' attorney filed a motion in limine seeking to preclude Marraccini's testimony, which the court denied. When Marraccini lawfully attended the hearing on June 10, 2024, Owens' attorney further sought to have Marraccini arrested at the courthouse, contacting 3 separate police departments, all of which denied his request, as Marraccini was lawfully present pursuant to the subpoena. Ultimately, the trial court found that Owens was never pregnant and referred her for investigation by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. In May 2025, a grand jury indicted Owens on 7 felonies, 1 count of fraudulent schemes and artifices, 1 count of forgery, 4 counts of perjury, and 1 count of tampering with evidence. The indictment alleges that from March 2023 to June 2024, Owens engaged in an elaborate scheme to defraud both Eckerd and the court, conduct nearly identical to her conduct with Marraccini and Gillespie. Significance of the indictment. While the Arizona case is separate from this proceeding, it is profoundly relevant to Owens' credibility and pattern of conduct, as well as her allegations against Marraccini. Owens is now facing 7 felony charges related to fabricating pregnancies, making several inconsistent statements under oath, and falsifying medical evidence. Marraccini has been identified by the Maricopa County's Attorney's Office as a potential witness to Owen's fraudulent conduct based on his direct experience with her. The parallels to Owen's conduct with Marraccini and Mr. Eckert, including Owen's habit of obtaining restraining orders against her victims, cannot be understated. In both instances, Owens falsely claimed to be pregnant with a child, turned twins, and, when pressed for proof, she pretended to miscarry. In both cases, she produced doctored medical evidence to bolster her story, and in both, her lies eventually unraveled. Owen's modus operandi is disturbingly consistent. This court must consider the indictment as critical to her credibility. In short, Owens has a clear pattern. She lies about pregnancies and abuse, and when confronted with evidence of her deceit, she doubles down by dragging her accusers into court to cast herself as the victim and to punish those who expose her. Before we change the page, we'll take a look at footnote 13 here. Marraccini was identified as a witness on the state's notice of disclosure, giving Owens clear knowledge that he would testify in the criminal case against her. Her filing of this renewal is retaliatory and part of the same fraudulent scheme she initiated in 2016. All right, let's finish this paragraph that goes to the next page. This pattern has persisted for years, spanning multiple jurisdictions. Arizona courts are now grappling with the fallout as Owens faces criminal prosecution. Should this court, after hearing all the facts, determine that Owens has continued this pattern of falsehoods, this court must refer her for prosecution in San Francisco County and reassess the legitimacy of all filings in this DVRO action. Ooh, the stakes are increasing, folks. Owens is dangerous and is continuing to harm her victims by maintaining this fraudulent DVRO action. Owens has shown she will not stop and that she is a danger to the community. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It is virtually unheard of for someone seeking a DVRO renewal to simultaneously be under indictment for fraud and perjury on a closely related matter. The evidence of Owens' fraud and perjury is significant, and it comes not just from Marraccini's assertions, but from forensic data, third-party witnesses, and judicial findings. An extensive evidentiary hearing is requested by Marraccini to disprove Owens' allegations in the court of law. Owens is a charged con artist, and this court should not accept any of her claims at face value. Boy, that's the understatement of the year. Her allegations should be given the highest scrutiny and be fully addressed through an in-person evidentiary hearing, where Owens, other victims, can testify. Points and authorities, the legal standard for renewal, credibility as a central factor. Under California Family Code, a domestic violence restraining order may be renewed for 5 years or even made permanent without a showing of any further abuse since the issuance of the original order. However, the law is equally clear that the burden remains on Owens to demonstrate a continuing need for protection. In practical terms, Owens must prove by a preponderance of the evidence a reasonable apprehension of future abuse if the restraining order is allowed to expire. This standard has both subjective and objective components. Owens must actually fear future abuse, and that fear must be objectively reasonable under the circumstances. As the Court of Appeals explained in Ritchie, if the protected party's fear is genuine and reasonable, the court should generally err on the side of renewal, given the protective purpose of the law. Conversely, if the claimed fear is not credible or not objectively reasonable, renewal is not warranted. In assessing whether Owens' claimed apprehension is genuine and reasonable, the court should consider the evidence and findings underlying the initial restraining order, as well as any significant changes in circumstances since. Here, the original DVRO was issued temporarily in January 2018 after a brief hearing and was based solely on Owens' written declarations. When time came for the evidentiary hearing, Marraccini simply wished to move on, did not contest the order, and instead stipulated to a 2-year restraining order to avoid further litigation without conceding to any of the allegations in the underlying DVRO. Thus, the original order's findings were never the product of a rigorous credibility determination. They were unchallenged allegations. Now, with the benefit of hindsight and new evidence, this court is in a very different position than it was in 2018. Owens' behaviors have culminated in fraudulent and criminal findings in Arizona. Her credibility is central to this renewal decision and must be assessed to determine whether her apprehension is both genuine and reasonable. California law recognizes that in deciding whether to grant equitable relief, like a DVRO, a court should weigh the party's credibility. Evidence Code explicitly permits the court to consider any matter that has a tendency in reason to prove or disprove the truthfulness of a witness's testimony, including prior inconsistent statements, and the witness's character for honesty. In this case, multiple factors cast doubt on Owen's credibility and the validity of her claimed fear. Prior inconsistent statements. In July 2016, Owens assured Marraccini it's not a miscarriage because she was supposedly carrying twins. Yet in her 2018 TRO filings, unequivocally claims to have miscarried, implying that Marraccini's behavior caused the miscarriage. Owens explicitly told Marraccini the miscarriage never happened. Likewise, Owens' current insistence that she has lived in fear of Marraccini since 2017 is inconsistent with her own communications and actions during and after 2017. She sent Marraccini numerous affectionate, casual messages well after 2017, even initiating face-to-face encounters with him, contrary to the horrendous abuse allegations contained in the 2018 TRO filings. Proven lack of honesty. Owens' credibility is virtually non-existent. This is not a mere he said, she said dispute. It is a case where the record shows deliberate fabrication. She has staged pregnancies and miscarriages that never occurred, forged medical records, and lied about having cancer. She has concocted stories of abuse and gone so far as to create false evidence, such as recycling an unrelated hospital photo to bolster her claims. Most tellingly, she now faces a felony indictment in Arizona for perjury and fraud, an official finding of probable cause that she lied under oath and falsified evidence. Motive to lie or exaggerate. Owens has clear incentives to misrepresent the situation. She has a pattern of using legal proceedings, like restraining orders and lawsuits, to retaliate against or control former partners. And I would also add, content creators. Here, her motive for seeking yet another renewal comes after she attempted and threatened to have Marraccini arrested for responding to a lawful subpoena in Arizona. Owens faces public disgrace and legal consequences for her actions. A DVRO is a powerful tool that Owens has used as a weapon rather than a protective measure. The court should be mindful that extending it under these circumstances rewards her misuse of the system. Owens has failed to meet her burden of proving a genuine, reasonable fear of future abuse. On the contrary, the evidence indicates she does not truly fear Marraccini. She fears losing control of the narrative she has constructed that is falling to pieces in light of the Eckerd case. Owens is a disgrace to genuine victims of domestic violence and cannot be permitted to continue abusing a process that is meant to protect victims as a tool to cause further harm. The DVPA was written to protect genuine victims, not to allow a mechanism for individuals like Owens to craft baseless allegations, punishing men for not wanting to date her. When a petitioner's credibility has been eviscerated as thoroughly as Miss Owens has, this court cannot find her purported fear objectively reasonable. Wow, that's a great statement. Eviscerated. Her eviscerated credibility. Marvelous. Owens points to no new incidents or threats in the 5 years since the DVRO was last renewed. Marraccini has scrupulously complied with the order. Owens' case for renewal thus rests entirely on recycled allegations from the past, allegations that are demonstrably false, Marraccini's compliance with a legally issued subpoena, and a forensic investigation of his communications with Laura, inspired by Owens' continued defamation of his character through her public identity as a fake victim. With no misconduct by Marraccini, and with Owens' credibility in ruins, there is no legitimate basis to continue the restraining order. There is, however, a legitimate basis to refer Miss Owens for criminal prosecution in the state of California. A little applause for that statement, because that's what this should do. Just as in Arizona, Laura should be referred for criminal prosecution in California for basically the same goddamn things. It's uncanny. It's uncanny. And I suspect when the well ran dry in San Francisco, that might have been an impetus to locate to Scottsdale, aside from warmer weather for aching old bones of Jan Black, Elizabeth Ann Naylor, and Ronn Owens, pregnancy filers. No, bankruptcy filers. Finally, the court should consider the broader policy implications. The Domestic Violence Prevention Act's noble purpose is to protect true victims of abuse. That purpose is undermined if the system is hijacked by false claims. Courts have warned against using restraining orders as tactical weapons rather than shields. And we have several footnotes here, and it's mostly case law. Levy versus Peterson, the appellate court reversed the renewal of a civil harassment restraining order because the Superior Court failed to require evidence of new harassment as mandated by California Code. The court highlighted that granting a renewal based solely on protected parties' request and subjective desire without proper legal standards impedes justice. The court referenced Ritchie v. Conrad to stress that protective orders impose significant burdens and should not be extended without sufficient grounds. Excellent. In Ritchie v. Conrad, the court held that a trial court erred in renewing a protective order merely based on protected person requesting it. The court emphasized that renewals require a finding by preponderance of the evidence that the protected person has a reasonable apprehension of future abuse. The court warned against using protective orders as automatic extensions without proper evidence, as this could lead to misuse and unnecessary burdens on the restrained party. In Marriage of FM and MM, the court underscored that domestic violence restraining orders under the Domestic Violence Prevention Act are meant to prevent future abuse, not to punish past conduct. The court emphasized the importance of considering evidence of post-filing abuse and ensuring that the orders are based on reasonable proof of ongoing future threats, rather than being used as a tool for other purposes. Granting a renewal in this case, despite overwhelming evidence of Owen's dishonesty, would send a dangerous message that the court will tolerate and even reward perjury and fabrication. It would encourage others to misuse DVROs for ulterior motives. In contrast, denying the renewal here would affirm that this court will not be made a tool in a fraudulent narrative. Denial of Owen's renewal request would fortify the faith of California DVRO process and ensure that its protections remain reserved for those who genuinely need them. Conclusion. Owens has built her case on a foundation of falsehoods. She lied about being pregnant with Marraccini's children. She lied about suffering miscarriages and undergoing escalating emergency medical procedures that never actually occurred. She lied about having cancer and crafted fake doctor's notes telling Marraccini to be supportive of her. She lied about Marraccini abusing her, even misrepresenting evidence to support that lie. Owens lied in her submissions to this court, and she lied under oath in 2 other pregnancy cons in Arizona. At every turn, when the truth threatened to undercut her narrative, Owens chose to double down. A person with this habit of deceit cannot be deemed credible, and her motives in seeking a renewal of the DVRO cannot be assumed to be pure. The court must carefully consider whether justice prevails by imposing severe restraints on Marraccini's liberty, potentially permanently under these circumstances. Owens has not been subjected to any abuse by Marraccini. The evidence indicates that Owens is the instigator of conflicts and that she is committed to tormenting Marraccini for the rest of his life. Her bid to renew the restraining order is not a plea for protection born of genuine fear. It appears to be a ploy for vindication and continued leverage. For the reasons set forth above, Respondent Michael Marraccini respectfully requests that the court deny Owens' request for renewal. Moreover, if the court determines that the original 2018 restraining order was procured through extrinsic fraud, it should be vacated under Code of Civil Procedure. The seriousness of extending or potentially making permanent a DVRO requires strict adherence to due process and fundamental fairness, particularly where substantial evidence shows the underlying order was obtained under false pretenses. Although Marraccini stands ready to address the merits of Owen's allegations, these procedural defects alone provide an independent basis to dissolve the existing order and deny any further extension. In sum, justice requires that this court not countenance perjury or reward fabrication. Owens has had her day, indeed years, under the protection of an order that was predicated on false claims. That chapter should now close. Marraccini respectfully requests that the court allow the restraining order to expire, restoring his freedom and good name. That was dated August 19, and that was submitted respectfully by Omar Serrato, the Tilted Lawyer, attorney for Michael Marraccini. That's marvelous. That is absolutely marvelous. And that concludes our reading of this document. which is lengthy and voluminous to say the least when you go through all the exhibits. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Be sure to like and subscribe this video, share it around, hit the thumbs up, hit that notification bell. It all helps us here, and it helps keep you informed of when we produce and release more content. So be sure to stick around for more, because guess what, folks? There will be more. This is not over by any stretch of the imagination, so stay tuned.
We gather in the spotlight from shadows near and far, a chorus born of truth beneath the guiding star. From one man's fight to many, our voices now align, for justice burns eternal, where lies can't hide the shine. Against the storm, a lie that broke the dawn, a claim of twins, a twisted tale, but truth came marching on. We saw the web she wove, the story spun to bind. Laura schemes, her shadow's dreams unravel in our minds. For justice, let the truth ignite the flame. From Clayton to the others, we'll call her lies by name. No more will shadow silence, no more will falsehoods reign. Together we stand stronger in the justice cries refrain. By the bay, a restraining order fell. Mike faced her accusations, but truth began to tell. Greg fought her claims of malice, her tales of twisted pain, while a stage mom hands out candy, masking truth in vain.
But sweet she greets the law, a smile to dodge the blame. But we see through the curtain, and we'll end her shadowed game. Raise the cry for justice, let the truth ignite the flame. From Clayton to the others, we'll call her lies by name. No more will shadow silence, no more will falsehoods reign. Together we stand stronger in the justice cries refrain. From Reddit threads to YouTube streams, we share the facts, the proof, the court's own words, the evidence lay bare her twisted truth. Maricopa's gavel falls, 7 felonies unfold. Her forged ultrasound, her perjured tales, a story now retold. A mother's shadow lingers with whispers soft and sly, but we'll keep pushing forward till justice lights the sky. From years long past, a pattern grows. Her lies from 14 sting. Matt faced her false paternity, her chaos took to wing. No more will victims falter, no more will fear abide. The justice crew is rising, with truth our only guide. For every heart she's broken, for every life stage is set, the curtain lifts, our voices won't be stilled. With every step we'll break her grip till justice is fulfilled. Raise the cry for justice,